Welcome back to page 121. Today we're going to take a look at an old favorite of mine, OP1, Tales of the Outer Planes. This is an anthology book that was put out to support the Manual of the Planes. This was out in 1988, following the release of Manual of the Planes in 1987. And what this did is it gave us a place to play some of the rules brought out in Manual of the Planes. It also introduced the World Serpent Inn, kind of a precursor to the Planescape city of Sigil. So we'll take a look at the World Serpent Inn. We'll take a look at the products or the adventures offered within this product from 1988, and some of the reason why I think you'd enjoy it. So today on page 121, Tales of the Outer Planes. In 1987, we got the excellent Manual of the Planes by Jeff Grubb. I mean, the book's got a picture of an astral dreadnought on the cover. What's not to love? This book was very useful. It keyed off of several Dragon articles and some other things that have been in D&D for a while, but it quantified travel and living in other planes than the prime material. In support of this book, I took a look at this book a few months ago, by the way, on my channel. You'll be able to find it if you look for it. In support of this book, we got Tales of the Outer Planes. Again, what's not to love? There's Githyanki on the cover. Anything that's got Githyanki on the cover is going to get my interest big time. Basically, this was a support book for the Manual of the Planes, where you would do a bunch of different adventures set for different levels. This is very much like the Book of Lairs. This was published in '88, right around the same time as Book of Lairs, and it cost the princely sum of $8.95. And the idea of the book was that you would take your player characters based on their level through the different adventures. But it also introduced something that was kind of neat, and that is the World Serpent Inn. So here we get the table of contents itself, of course, and then a bunch of different authors wrote this. And then we get the table of contents. There are 17 different layers in this book, and it's set up very much like the Dragon or Dungeon magazine was at the same time. The interesting thing that this book added was the World Serpent Inn. The World Serpent Inn is this mystical inn that exists on all planes at once, and in this, you have to evoke a certain way of getting into the inn. You walk up to the door of the correct place. In this case, you rap on the air in front of the door, and then invoke the name of any power or demi-power, any god, and then the door will open. You'll be in the World Serpent Inn. Failing to do that and just walking through the door puts you into an ordinary, mundane inn. How you find the World Serpent Inn and things like that can be side adventures before you get here. The World Serpent Inn is interesting because it's a neutral ground where you can have demons and divas talking and swapping tales over drinks. You can have even powers in disguise inside here. This was definitely, in my mind, a precursor to the city of Sigil from the Planescape setting. Planescapes would come up in the mid-90s, and Sigil would be a much bigger version of this, except you couldn't, of course, have any kind of power, deity, in the city of Sigil. But I definitely felt that was drawn from the World Serpent Inn. World Serpent Inn was neat. I have it. It exists in my Greyhawk City. Very few people know about it, and honestly, in the last few years, we haven't really used it. It's a neutral ground in that you cannot start a fight in there because the powers that run the bar will basically just dump you out into nowhere. I just have it that the bar itself will just dissolve under you or around you, and you'll just be dumped into the ethereal plane or the astral plane or something anytime you try hostility in there. That's the only way they enforce things, is you just get expelled. If you have no way to move around, that can be a real problem. I caution my players before they go in the World Serpent Inn, don't pick a fight. It's not a good thing to get just dumped if you don't have a way back. And then even finding your way back, the World Serpent Inn, I have it that they can just keep you from coming back in. So you can end up finding yourself permanently barred from the place where you just physically can't get in there because you caused trouble once. So World Serpent Inn's pretty good that way. Of course, in Planescapes, we have the Lady of Pain, who enforces people behaving themselves in the city of Sigil. I didn't want to go there. At one time, I kind of made the barkeep this scary guy with all these powers, but I found it much easier to just expel people from the bar. I found it very effective, too, when people realized there was a chance they would be barred from there permanently. Suddenly they weren't too interested in acting out inside the bar. So these adventures go by page, page by page, and this one starts in the World Serpent Inn, and it's a simple deed, well rewarded, for Second level characters. Some of these are very low level, which is surprising. I've never run a successful low level campaign. I'm not saying it can't be done. I'm saying that if it is, I'm not the DM for it. For me, the planes are extremely dangerous. So then we get to the castle at the edge of time. This one's also for second level characters. I'm not going to go into a ton about each of these adventures, just going to show the book as an overview. And then we get the Brewing Storm, which is third and fourth level characters of any class or race. And you end up using stuff out of the Dungeoneer Survival Guide in here. And you do get Genie and a lot of different races from different planes, which is, of course, what the whole book's about. So we continue the Brewing Storm. Then we go to the Voyage of the Nereid. And this is for third to fourth level characters. So you're seeing a theme. Far beyond the Stygian depths of the sea, in a palace of black coral at the heart of the elemental plane of water, dwells Al-Hydra, princess of the sea and its forces. So you can get into some pretty serious stuff here. Again, low level, never really felt it worked. In fact, I adapted this particular adventure. We had a higher level group that was really keen to go to the plane of water. And I adapted this to the higher level group. They were around about 8th to 10th. But they had, just kind of by coincidence as a group, they had some peculiar stuff that let them survive in the elemental plane of water. So that's where they wanted to go, and they did. And it was a lot of fun. Here we go. Through the Fire is the next one. 5th to 6th level characters. And again, you're moving about the plane of fire in this one. I liked this one because we still hadn't seen the City of Brass yet. So this was close. We get into Freet's Garden and Palace, which was pretty neat. There wasn't a ton on this yet in D&D. It's touched on a little bit in the Manual of the Planes, but this gave a nice, much nicer view. Then we get the Missing Crystal, and this a group of Deo on the elemental plane of Earth that work with the player characters for this one. Then we go into the Astral Plane. I actually ran this one. I've run a lot of Astral Plane adventures over the years. Ran one not terribly long ago for our group. A very high-level group was zipping along in the Astral Plane. The Astral Plane can be a bunch of fun. This is for 7th to 8th level characters. That's about where you can start playing the Astral Plane and survive for the most part. We get the Yankee Fortress here, which is always so much fun. A Demon Skiff. There's all kinds of stuff. I love what these did. We get the next adventure, An Element of Chaos. Level 7 to 8, and takes you to the 7 heavens. So we're getting a good look, and all this is pre-Planescape. So we don't have a lot of the Planescape 19th century England feel in this. In fact, we don't have any because that hadn't been invented. While I kind of like that in Planescape, I found that a little overwhelming at times. Just the way that felt like 19th century London. I changed Sigil around a little bit. I said change Sigil around quite a bit. I do use Sigil in my campaign. It's been a while since we've been there, but we absolutely do it. This next one is a Friendly Wager, and it's designed for 5 to 8 player characters of 9th to 10th level. So you're dealing with some of the area of Olympus and the gods of Olympus. You're encountering a helpless shepherd who's not what he appears to be. This can be so beyond the player character's power, it's not even funny. So we continue on with the Friendly Wager. And then we get the Sea of Screams, which we are in the abyss of 9th, 10th level characters in the abyss. Again, 9th, 10th level in the abyss, it depends on the DM. That's a tough day at the beach. And now we're starting to get deeper into the book. We get to Hell and Back, which is for levels 11 and up. Keep in mind, this is still D&D First Edition. D&D First Edition, in my opinion, was designed up to about 12th level. It starts falling apart a little bit once you get much beyond 12th level. And if you read the books carefully, you'll see that I'm right. 12th level was about where they expected to top out, despite the charts and tables going up to 15th and 20th, and for Magic User Spells, 28th level, 30th level. The game tops out around 12, and then you have to really start tweaking it, which we did. So to Hell and Back, by 1988, we'd been playing for 8 years. We had very old characters who'd gotten quite powerful. Now we go to a section they call layers, and these are just different little adventure hooks, just small ones. This one's set in the Seven Heavens. This is Pandemonium. This is the Astral or Prime Plane, and these are all just adventure hooks. So this is pretty nice too. They would start putting cards into the box sets around this time for adventure hooks. We get the Dale, we get the Ifrit, and Battle System rules. But this is Battle System First Edition. I tried playing some of these with Battle System First Edition. I'm not a fan of Battle System in First Edition. Second Edition, I'm a big fan. First Edition rules were not very good. We get the Faratsu Demodan, some more Githyanki. Here we get some Githzeri, the various sons of Gith. The Grey Slad, Ildris, which is a Gru elemental. Kui, Amerid, a lot of stuff that had been brought out. Madrons, a Planetar, and an Ultra Demon. Oh, Poe and General Ox, which is set in Nirvana, the Spine Devil, and then the Ultra Daemon, which is set in the lower planes. A lot of this stuff we've been showing the monsters. They talked about the monsters a little bit. The Marids and things like that had been around for a while now. But we didn't have any insight as to how they lived and breathed their water and things like that. And this book and the Manual of the Planes helped us greatly in that regard. It really fleshed out the monsters. It fleshed out a lot of what the DM could do with the monsters. So I do recommend this. It's available on DriveThruRPG, as is the Manual of the Planes. I really like this book. It goes very well with the Book of Layers, volumes 1 and 2. Unfortunately, I only ever got Outer Planes 1, because shortly after this was published, of course, they went over to D&D 2nd edition. This is still very playable today. I still draw stuff out of this from time to time, although it's been a while since we've been to the World Serpent Inn. That may be something I'll have to cure sometime down the line. So that's all I've got to say today for page 121. Thanks for watching. I hope you liked what you heard and saw. If you did, please like and subscribe. Leave some comments, suggestions for future videos, politely worded criticisms, always welcome. And that's all I've got today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on page 121.